In the land of Bala, there lived a king named King Uche. King Uche ruled the land of Bala for more than 40 years. He was a warrior king who had fought in many wars for his village, and because of that, he was greatly feared and respected by his people and the neighboring villages. Aside from being a fierce and feared king, King Uche was one of the best and kindest kings to rule the land of Bala. He served his people with all his heart and ensured that his kingdom never lacked. Unlike kings from the neighboring villages who married numerous wives, King Uche only married one wife, Queen Uzo, whom he loved so much. He knew marrying more than one wife would hurt Queen Uzo, so he made her a promise right from the early stages of their love. After the first 5 years of their marriage, Queen Uzo bore King Uche a daughter whom they named Ngozi. And 3 years after Ngozi was born, Queen Uzo bore another daughter, Ama. Unfortunately, when Ngozi was born, she was born with a sickness that caused her to grow faster than her peers. When Ngozi became a teenager, she was more grown and looked more mature than people who were 30 years old. She was very tall and began to develop muscles and grow a beard. By the time Ngozi clocked 15 years, she looked like a giant with well-developed muscles and a full face of beards. Because of her size and looks, Ngozi barely made any friends. If she walked through the village or were to leave the palace, the villagers of Bala would stop and stare at Ngozi in a very disgusting way. Other children who were supposed to be Ngozi's age mates would laugh at Ngozi and tease her for being different. They also gave Ngozi many nicknames. To some villagers, she was known as the woman man, and to others, she was known as the giant princess. Even though some of the villagers had given Ngozi different degrading nicknames, some villagers began to spread rumors that her father, King Uche, had offended the gods, and that's why the gods punished him with a beastly child as his first daughter. Because of the mockery and teases Ngozi got from the villagers of Bala, her parents, the king and queen, were forced to withdraw her from the public primary school she attended, and she was homeschooled. From that teenage age until Ngozi became an adult, she remained in the palace and barely went into the village because she feared how the people would treat her. While Ngozi spent her teenage years hiding within the palace walls, her younger sister, Ama, lived a free and normal life. She was a beautiful princess, free to go anywhere without fear. But despite being as free as a bird, Ama was intensely jealous of her older sister, Ngozi. Ama hated how their parents always treated Ngozi like she was so special. She detested how much love and attention her parents showered Ngozi, so from a young age, she detested the sight of her older sister. Because King Uche was unable to have a male child after trying for so many years, he decided that his first daughter Ngozi would succeed his throne. But for Ngozi to succeed his throne, Ngozi had to marry first, so she and her husband would jointly rule the village of Bala. Unfortunately, as Ngozi grew older and developed into a mature woman, she found it very difficult to find a man or a lover. Because of her height, size, muscles, and face full of beards, no man in the village of Bala wanted to date or even marry Ngozi. They were all intimidated by her size and innocently believed that since Ngozi was taller and stronger than them, she would act like the man in their marriage. Several times, King Uche tried to arrange a royal competition for men from far and wide to contest so that the winner would get Ngozi's hand in marriage, but none was successful. Each time the men from neighboring villages heard that they were about to be betrothed to the king's ugly and giant daughter, they would all black out. On her own, Ngozi also tried to get friendly with the men in the village, but no one even wanted to be her friend. Sometimes, to win their attention, Ngozi would show them kindness and give them gifts or anything they asked for, but some men would disappear after they got whatever they wanted from her. As time passed and King Uche grew older, he became very worried for his daughter and her inability to find a husband. But because he understood that Ngozi was different from the other women in the village, he knew better to be patient with her. Without being constantly reminded, Ngozi knew that her father and his kingdom depended on her to get married so she could succeed her father's throne. And anytime Ngozi thought about her inability to find a man or even make friends, she would lock herself up in her room and cry till her face turned red. She also hated looking at herself in the mirror because each time she did that, it reminded her how much of an abomination she was. As if being different from the rest was not enough, Ama, Ngozi's younger sister, made life a living hell for Ngozi. Out of envy and jealousy, Ama would constantly remind Ngozi that she was the ugliest girl in the village and she would never be married because no man in his right senses would marry a hideous creature like her. Each time Ngozi heard her sister speak meanly to her, it broke her heart and she would cry her eyes out. Because of Ama's constant abuses and insults, Ngozi began to leave the palace because she could not stand the daily and constant abuses. Since Ngozi was not welcomed in the village and the villagers always treated her rudely, Ngozi found refuge in the forest. In the forest, she had no reason to be ashamed of her looks and wasn't too careful of how she acted. Just for fun, she would name the trees and the flowers, and whenever she was bored, she would sit there and talk to them, then pretend like they were talking back to her. For many years, Ngozi visited the forest every day. If she missed a day with the trees and flower friends, she would apologize wholeheartedly like she were apologizing to a real person. One day, Ngozi was in the forest, walking around and admiring the flowers as usual, when she heard someone screaming for help. Without wasting time, Ngozi followed the voice and rushed to the location. To her greatest surprise, she met a man who was being attacked by a wild boar. Unsure of what to do, Ngozi lifted a huge rock with all her strength and flung it at the boar. Startled at what had nearly hit it, the boar sprang away in fear. After the wild boar was out of sight, Ngozi hurried to help the man who looked like he had hurt his left leg. "Thank you so much, brave woman, for helping me. I would have been dead by now if you didn't intervene on time," the man said. "You are welcome. If I may ask, what are you doing all by yourself in this big forest?" Ngozi asked with a smile across her face. "Forgive me. I wandered into the forest on my own. I am not from here, so I didn't know that the forest was dangerous even in broad daylight," the man said as Ngozi helped him up. "Oh, I didn't know you were not from here," Ngozi responded. "Oh, my bad. How do I just address the gorgeous and brave woman who just delivered me from the horns of a wild boar?" the man asked. "I'm Ngozi, Princess Ngozi, the first daughter of King Uche." Ngozi introduced herself properly. Immediately Ngozi introduced herself, the man went down on one knee and bowed his head respectfully. "I've heard so much about you, my princess, and I'm honored to meet Her Majesty in person." The man said, and Ngozi giggled. "Just call me Ngozi, please," Ngozi insisted. Because Ngozi had been trained in herbal medicine, she went around the forest and found some leaves that could help stop the blood from the man's injured leg. After she applied the herbs to his wound, the two of them sat there and talked about the village of Bala for hours. By the time Ngozi had realized what time it was, the sun had already set, so she rushed back to the palace without asking for the strange man's name. It was her first time having a normal conversation with someone who didn't look at her with disgust. And the whole night while Ngozi lay in bed, she kept recounting her happy memories with her strange friend. The following day, Ngozi went to the forest at her usual time. To her greatest surprise, she found the strange man sitting under one of the trees she always sat at. The man claimed he wanted to come back and thank her properly, and then he asked if Ngozi could be his friend. As soon as Ngozi heard that, happiness filled her heart, and she said yes in excitement. She didn't care if she had only known the man for one day. She was happy that someone had finally seen beyond her muscular body and her intimidating height. From that day, Ngozi and the strange forest man became friends, and they saw each other every day in the forest. Because Ngozi was excited to finally have a real friend, she told her father, King Uche, about her friend whom she had been meeting in the forest. When King Uche heard that, he was pleased to hear that his daughter, who was always lonely, finally had a friend who made her so happy and excited, and he asked to see him. To honor her father, Ngozi promised that she would bring him to the palace soon, and by that time, Ngozi had been meeting her friend for months. When Ama, Ngozi's younger sister, heard that Ngozi finally had a male friend whom she went out to see every day in the forest, she became very angry and unsettled. Even though the strange man in the forest was not Ngozi's boyfriend, Ama suspected that he would be a threat to her and her plans. Ama had been eyeing their father's throne, and she knew that the only way she could get it was if Ngozi remained unmarried, so she vowed that her older sister would remain single at all costs. The day Ngozi was supposed to invite the strange man to the palace, she met him at her usual spot. Shortly after they began their conversation, the man proposed to Ngozi, and she said yes. Ngozi had already fallen in love with the strange man, whom she neither knew his name nor his origin. Even without knowing where he was from, Ngozi loved him wholeheartedly, and she was always surprised at how much the man knew her. Later that same day, Ngozi took the man to meet her father in the palace, and her father welcomed him with open arms. When it was time to introduce himself, the strange man introduced himself as Eto, meaning tree. but neither Ngozi nor her father were curious about the origin of his name. When Ngozi broke the news to her father that Eto had asked for her hand in marriage, King Uche was very happy, and he promised to give them a befitting wedding. No one knew that while the discussion was going on in the king's chambers, Ama had been eavesdropping on all their conversation, and she heard that Ngozi had been proposed to. Angered at what she had heard, Ama left the palace immediately and went to her friend's house, whose mother was one of the most powerful and dreaded witches in the village of Bala. She told her friend's mother that she needed a potent charm that would ruin Ngozi and Eto's engagement, and that she needed it fast, so she could destroy their union before it got stronger. This is the end of today's video. Are you curious if Ama succeeded? Subscribe now at our channel and stay tuned for part 2. When Ama told her friend's mother that she needed a strong charm that could destroy her sister's union, her friend's mother, the witch, promised to make Ama a strong charm, but only on the condition that Ama would approve her kind of black magic in the land of Bala once she got rid of her sister and became queen. The witch said that because the kind of charm Ama wanted had to be made through a different kind of magic, and King Uche had forbidden and banned that kind of black magic years before Ama was born. Because Ama's heart was filled with envy, jealousy, and desperation to destroy her sister's union and get rid of her sister, she agreed to the witch's condition. Once she agreed, the witch told Ama to return in 2 days for the charm because she had to travel to a distant land to get all the ingredients needed to make the charm. Pleased with what she had heard, Ama left her friend's house and returned to the palace. By the time Ama returned to the palace, Ngozi and her husband-to-be had already left the king's chambers, and even her father, King Uche, was attending to another set of guests. Earlier that day, when Ama dashed out of the palace in anger after hearing about Ngozi's engagement to Eto, she did not know that there was a part of the conversation between King Uche, Ngozi, and Eto that she did not hear about. As soon as she left, Eto told King Uche that he had something to say, and it was about Ngozi's physique. When the king asked him to speak, Eto told the king that he had been secretly searching for a cure for Ngozi from the first week he met her. Earlier that day, he got information from a reliable source that there was a sacred river tucked deep within a distant forest of Uza that could cure Ngozi and make her normal. Then he asked for the king's permission to take Ngozi there himself. That wasn't the first time King Uche had heard of the sacred river of Uza. Uza was a village that shared borders with the village of Bala, and it was rumored to have a sacred river that could cure all kinds of diseases, sicknesses, and even deformities, leaving people in their true form. It was also rumored that everyone who dipped their body 7 times in the river of Uza on a full moon would be instantly cured. However, the only problem was that no one knew how to find the sacred river of Uza, because the river only revealed itself to those in dire need. When Ngozi was around 10 years old, the same age her abnormal growth became evident, King Uche traveled with some of his guards to search for the sacred river in the land of Uza. They searched and combed all the forest of Uza, but after spending weeks trying to find a solution for Ngozi, he returned empty-handed. At that time, the sacred river was his last option to help his daughter, Ngozi, be like a normal child, but when he couldn't find it, he lost all hope. As soon as Eto mentioned the sacred river to King Uche, King Uche told him that the river was a myth and that he would just be wasting his time to find it because he had tried finding the river in the past years and he never found it. Despite hearing what King Uche said, Eto insisted that he wanted to give it a shot and begged for the king's permission. Seeing that Eto was determined to find help for Ngozi, King Uche approved their travel and told them to be careful. With the king's approval, Ngozi and Eto planned to travel to Uza village in 2 days. Ama was completely unaware of their plans until the morning Ngozi was set to leave, which was also the same day Ama was supposed to get the charm from the witch and use it on Ngozi. "Where are you going to so early in the morning?" Ama asked Ngozi as soon as she entered Ngozi's room. Since Ama's room was next to Ngozi's room, the noise from Ngozi moving around her room to pack things for her travel woke Ama. "It's none of your business," Ngozi responded. Already Ngozi knew her sister Ama did not like her, so there was no need for Ngozi to be and act all friendly with her. "Don't tell me you're planning to run away with that forest boyfriend of yours." "You know what? You can go ahead. I won't say a word to Daddy," Ama said. "Run away?" Ngozi laughed. "Since you really want to know, we are going to the village of Uza to find the sacred river so I can be cured of this curse," Ngozi said. "You? Cured? Stop dreaming, sis. I have never seen a beast change to a human except in the folklore and myths," Ama laughed. At first, Ama laughed so hard at Ngozi because she thought Ngozi was bluffing about being cured by the sacred river of Uza. But when she saw the serious look on Ngozi's face, Ama knew she was serious. "You can't go to Uza. The people of Uza are enemies with the people of Bala. Once they know you are King Uche's daughter, they will kill you. You know that," Ama said in a stern voice, hoping to convince her sister. "What is it to you if I live or die? And when did you start caring about me?" Ngozi asked. And with that, she picked up her box and left Ama in her room. There was a horse waiting for Ngozi outside the palace, and Eto had been waiting for her too. When Ngozi's horse rode off, Ama could not believe that she allowed such important information to slip through her fingers. And she was so mad at herself because she wanted to use the charm on Ngozi that day. Shortly after Ngozi left the palace with Eto, Ama took her private horse to the witch's house. It was almost 6 a.m. and the sun barely rose, but Ama did not care. When she arrived at the witch's house, Ama was shocked to see that her charm was half ready. She was very angry that the witch was still sleeping by that time instead of working on her charm. The worst part was before the witch set out on her journey to get the ingredients for her charm, she gave Ama a set of instructions, and one of them was that Ama should not be in possession of the charm for more than 3 days because there would be repercussions. Also, it was extremely important that Ama use the charm on Ngozi. If not, Ama would run mad. The charm was originally created to make Ngozi go mad. That way, her husband-to-be, Eto, would abandon her, and she would be useless to the kingdom and her father's throne. So if Ama did not use the charm on Ngozi within 3 days, she would face the consequences. After waiting for hours for the witch to finish her charm, Ama took her charm angrily and left the witch's house. She went straight to the palace and packed her bags to go to Uza village. Since Ngozi and Eto left the village of Bala that morning, Ama thought that if she followed them that same day, she would catch up with them and then use the charm on Ngozi. She even believed using the charm on Ngozi while in another village was a better plan than using it on her in the palace. That afternoon, Ama traveled to Uza with some of her personal guards and maids. Because they arrived at the Uza village very late at night, and it wasn't safe for strangers to roam another man's village late at night, Ama and her maids were forced to pause their journey so they could rest and continue the next day. Meanwhile, Eto and Ngozi arrived at Uza around 5 p.m. that evening. When they arrived, Ngozi was shocked to find out that Eto was from Uza village, their rival village, and she understood why Eto never mentioned where he came from. For more than 20 years, the villages of Bala and Uza had been fighting each other over a land that was between their borders. So the rival villagers did not like each other. The next morning, as soon as the first cock crowed, Eto and Ngozi set out to the deepest forest of Uza, where they believed they would find the sacred river. Going into the deepest and endless forest of Uza had been estimated to be a journey of 2 days. But since they had no clue how to find the sacred river, they could not estimate the number of days it would take to be in and out of that forest. By the time Ama and her maids woke up to continue searching for Ngozi that morning, Ngozi and Eto had already gone deep into the forest. So no matter what Ama did, Ngozi was effortlessly always 2 or 3 steps ahead of her. When Ama, her maids, and her guards got to the entrance of the deepest forest of Uza, her guards and maids refused to follow her into the deepest forest of Uza. Aside from being rumored to be the forest with the sacred river, that particular forest was known to be a home of wild beasts. Since hunting was forbidden in that forest, people believe that the number of wild beasts in that forest was more than the number of people in Uza village. After trying to command and persuade her maids and guards to follow her, but wasn't successful, Ama went into the forest alone, and she instructed them to wait outside there for her. For 3 days, all 3 of them journeyed deep into the forest. While Ngozi and Eto hoped to find the sacred river so Ngozi could be cured, Ama hoped to find Ngozi so she could use the charm on her. After days of searching through the forest for the sacred river, on their 4th night, which was the night of the full moon, Eto and Ngozi were sleeping in a small tent they had made when they suddenly heard the sound of flowing water. That whole day, Eto and Ngozi searched the entire area, but they couldn't find any river or sign of water. Surprised at what they had heard, Ngozi and Eto got out of their tent and followed the sound of the river. Barely 2 minutes from their tent, Ngozi and Eto saw a river they had not seen before. It was almost like the river appeared from nowhere, and they both swore that the river was not there even before they slept. Excited to finally see the river they had spent days searching for, Ngozi walked into the river and dipped herself 7 times. While she dipped herself, she prayed silently for a cure. On the 7th dip, Ngozi expected that she would walk out of the river as a different woman, but she was wrong. The sacred river of Uza only cured deformities, illnesses, and sicknesses, and revealed people's true forms. Ngozi was already living in her true form. She was not sick or deformed, so she did not even need the healing of the sacred river. All she had to do was accept that she was unique, special, and different from other people. When Eto saw the sad look on Ngozi's face, he ran into the river and hugged her tightly. I don't care what other people think or say about you. You are beautiful to me and will always be. At least we tried. This proves that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. You look different, but who cares? I love everything about you, Ngozi, Uche, and will always do. Now let's go home. We have a wedding to plan, Eto said. As soon as Eto said that, Ngozi burst into tears and she hugged Eto tightly. That was all she needed to hear. That night, Ngozi slept like a baby in Eto's arms, and the following day, they began their journey back to the village of Bala. On their way out of the forest, Ngozi and Eto heard strange noises that sounded like a human voice. Out of curiosity, they decided to go and check on the person. As soon as they traced the voice, Ngozi was shocked to see her younger sister, Ama, talking to sticks and stones in a very weird manner. Ama, is that you? What are you doing here? Ngozi asked as she got off her horse to walk close to Ama. As soon as she got close, she realized something was wrong with her sister. Ama had gone mad, and she kept murmuring something about using a charm on Ngozi and stealing her throne. Seeing Ama in that terrible state really broke Ngozi's heart and made her cry. Despite the ill treatment Ngozi received from her sister, Ama, she still loved her and never wished evil for her. Thankfully, the guards and maids were still at the forest entrance, and somehow Ama had wandered on her own close to the entrance. Out of compassion, Ngozi and Eto managed to take Ama out of the forest, and they handed her to the maids and guards at the entrance. When they all returned to the palace, King Uche was sad to see his youngest daughter in that state. Ngozi, Eto, and the maids and the guards all shared their own side of their story, but the king could still not figure out why Ama had gone mad. To get to the root of her madness, King Uche called the village Dibia to find a solution to Ama's madness. Unfortunately, there was no cure for her. The Dibia revealed that Ama had brought madness upon herself, and the only way they could reverse her madness was by practicing the same black magic King Uche had banned many years ago. When King Uche heard that, he was very sad for his daughter Ama, because he was a man of his word and could not lift the ban on black magic in the land of Bala just because of her. So he ordered the guards to lock Ama in a room where she would not harm herself, and instructed her personal maids to constantly care for her. A week after Ngozi and Eto returned from Uza village, they got married, and King Uche threw a big party for their wedding. On their wedding day, King Uche crowned Ngozi as the Queen of Bala and Eto as king. That same day, King Uche renounced his title as king over the village of Bala. He did that because he was very old and he no longer had the strength to rule the village like he did in his youthful days. With her father no longer ruling as king, Ngozi became the first female queen to rule the village of Bala. Even though the people of Bala did not like her initially, they grew to love and admire her strength. In the following years, Ngozi fought and won wars for her kingdom, and she defended her kingdom from invaders just like her father did when he was king. In the later years of her reign, she became popularly known as the Woman King, who ruled the village of Bala with a soft heart. She became popularly known as the Woman King, who ruled the village of Bala with a soft heart and an iron fist, alongside her king. Thank you for watching. The sun rose slowly over the kingdom of Bala, casting a golden glow on the palace, where a new era was beginning. Queen Ngozi, the muscular princess who had overcome so much, stood on the balcony, taking in the view of her kingdom. Her heart was heavy with the responsibilities that now lay upon her shoulders, but she was determined to lead with strength and compassion. King Uche, her father, had stepped down after crowning her and her beloved Eto as the new rulers of Bala. Ngozi's unique physique, which had once been a source of ridicule, was now a symbol of resilience and power. She was the first female to rule Bala, and she knew she had to prove herself to gain the trust and respect of her people. However, not everyone was pleased with her ascent to the throne. Whispers of discontent echoed through the kingdom, and there were those who questioned her ability to lead. The village council, comprised of elderly men set in their ways, were particularly skeptical. They believed a woman could not handle the burden of kingship, especially one as different as Ngozi. As the days passed, Ngozi faced her first challenge. Reports came in of unrest in the outskirts of Bala. Villagers were being incited to rebellion by none other than the witch who had once aided her envious sister, Ama. The witch, sensing an opportunity to exploit the turmoil, promised the villagers power through dark magic if they overthrew Ngozi. Ngozi called an emergency meeting with her council and closest advisors, including Eto, who had proven to be her rock. As they gathered in the grand hall, the tension was noticeable. "We cannot ignore these threats," Ngozi began, her voice firm. "Our people are scared and confused. They need to see that we are strong and united." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. One of the elders, Nandi, stood up. "Your Majesty, with all due respect, this is a dangerous situation. A witch with dark powers is no small matter. We should consider negotiating with her." Ngozi shook her head. "Negotiation is not an option. The witch aims to sabotage Bala. We must show strength, not weakness. We must protect our people and our kingdom." Eto stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on Ngozi's shoulder. "Ngozi is right. We must plan to confront this threat head on. We must rally our warriors and prepare for battle." As As the council continued to debate, Ngozi felt a surge of determination. She knew that this was her chance to prove herself. She decided to lead a contingent of warriors to confront the witch and her followers directly. 3 days later, Ngozi stood at the head of her assembled forces. She wore armor that accentuated her powerful physique, a symbol of her readiness to fight for her kingdom. Eto was by her side, his presence a source of strength and comfort. They marched towards the outskirts of Bala, where the witch had gathered her followers. The landscape was spooky, with twisted trees and an unnatural darkness that seemed to radiate from the witch's presence. As they approached, Ngozi could see the villagers who had been swayed by the witch's promises. Their eyes were filled with a mix of fear and defiance. The witch, a gaunt figure draped in dark robes, stepped forward. Her eyes gleamed with malevolence. "So, the new queen has come to face me," she sneered. "Do you really think you can stop me, child?" Ngozi stood tall, her voice unwavering. "I am not afraid of you. You have no place in Bala. Leave now, and I will show mercy. Stay, and you will face the consequences." The witch laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "You think you can command me? You are nothing but a muscle-bound freak. I will show you the true power of dark magic." With a wave of her hand, the witch summoned a dark storm, bolts of lightning crackling through the sky. The villagers backed away in fear, but Ngozi held her ground. She knew this battle would not be won by brute strength alone. She needed to outsmart the witch. As the storm raged, Ngozi signaled to her warriors. They moved swiftly, encircling the witch and her followers. Ngozi advanced, her eyes locked on the witch. "Your magic cannot win against the strength of the united front," she declared. The witch hissed in anger and unleashed a blast of dark energy. Ngozi braced herself, using her strength to deflect the attack. The force of the blast pushed her back, but she stood firm. She knew she had to keep the witch focused on her while her warriors carried out her plan. Eto and a group of warriors had quietly encircled around the witch's flank. They moved with secrecy and precision, avoiding detection. As Ngozi continued to engage the witch, distracting her with teases and diversions, Eto and his team struck. They targeted the source of the witch's power, an ancient staff she used. With a coordinated effort, Eto and the warriors disarmed the witch, breaking her staff. The dark storm immediately dissipated, and the witch screamed in fury. Her power was broken, and she was vulnerable. Ngozi seized the moment. She charged at the witch, her strength overwhelming. With a swift, decisive blow, she knocked the witch to the ground. "Your reign of terror ends now," Ngozi declared. The villagers, seeing the witch defeated, began to waver. Ngozi turned to them, her voice filled with authority and compassion. "You have been misled by false promises. Return to your homes and rebuild your lives. Bala will be stronger together." The villagers, realizing their mistake, slowly began to disperse. The rebellion was quelled, and the threat of the witch was no more. Ngozi's display of strength and strategy and compassion had won the day. As they returned to the palace, the mood was one of relief and renewed hope. The council, who had been skeptical of Ngozi's leadership, now saw her in a new light. Nandi, the elder who had doubted her, approached her. "Your Majesty, I was wrong to doubt you. You have proven yourself as a true leader of Bala." Ngozi smiled, grateful for the acknowledgement. "Thank you, Nandi. Together we will build a stronger, united Bala." In the weeks that followed, Ngozi focused on healing the wounds left by the conflict. She visited the villages, listening to the concern of her people and ensuring that those who had been swayed by the witch were not punished but reintegrated into society. Eto remained her steadfast companion, his support invaluable. "You have shown incredible strength, Ngozi," he said one evening as they sat together, reflecting on the recent events. "But your true power lies in your heart and your compassion for your people." Ngozi nodded. "I have learned that strength is not just physical. It is also about resilience, wisdom, and the ability to inspire others. I will lead Bala with all these qualities." As Ngozi continued to rule, her reputation as the woman king grew. She defended Bala from invaders, negotiated peace agreements, and initiated reforms that improved the lives of her people. Her unique physique became a symbol of pride and strength, inspiring others to embrace their differences and stand strong in the face of adversity. Ama, still locked away in her room, remained a constant source of sorrow for Ngozi. Despite everything, Ngozi visited her sister regularly, hoping that one day Ama might find peace. "I will never give up on you, Ama," she whispered during one visit. "I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive yourself and find a way back to us." Years passed, and Ngozi's reign was marked by prosperity and unity. She had transformed Bala into a kingdom where strength and compassion coexisted. The people, once skeptical, now honored her as a wise and fair leader. One day, as Ngozi was holding court, a messenger arrived with urgent news. "Your Majesty, a neighboring kingdom seeks our help. They are facing a great threat and have requested your aid." Ngozi listened carefully. "We will not turn our backs on those in need. Prepare our warriors. We will go to their aid." Eto, standing beside her, smiled. "You continue to amaze me, Ngozi. Your heart knows no bounds." As they prepared for the journey, Ngozi felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had proven herself as a leader, not just through strength, but through compassion and wisdom. She knew that the challenges would never cease, but she was ready to face them with her people by her side. The journey to the neighboring kingdom was arduous, but Ngozi and her warriors were determined. As they arrived, they were met with gratitude and relief. The threat was intimidating, but with Ngozi's leadership and unity of their forces, they triumphed. Upon their return to Bala, the people welcomed them with cheers and celebrations. Ngozi addressed the crowd, her voice filled with pride and humility. "We are strong because we stand together. We are powerful because we believe in each other. Bala will continue to thrive as long as we remain united." The years rolled on, and Ngozi's legacy grew. She had become more than just a queen. She was a symbol of resilience, compassion, and strength. Her story was told and retold, inspiring generations to come. In the later years, as she looked over the kingdom she had built, Ngozi knew that she had fulfilled her destiny. She had proven that true strength came from within, and that a leader's greatest power was the ability to inspire, and uplift others. Despite her triumphs and the respect she garnered, Ngozi never forgot her roots or the struggles she faced. She ensured that Bala's history and the stories of its people were preserved and taught to future generations. Schools were built and the arts were encouraged, creating a rich cultural tapestry that celebrated the kingdom's unique heritage. Ama, though still secluded, began to show signs of improvement. Her episodes of madness became less frequent, and there were moments when clarity returned to her eyes. During one such moment, she looked at Ngozi and whispered, "I am sorry." Ngozi, moved by her sister's words, held her hand gently. "I forgive you, Ama. We will find a way to heal together." Eto and Ngozi's bond grew stronger with each passing year. Their love was evident in the way they ruled and the harmony they brought to Bala. The kingdom flourished under their guidance, becoming a beacon of hope and strength in the region. One evening, as Ngozi and Eto sat together under the stars, Eto took her hand in his. "Ngozi, there is something I must tell you," he said, his voice filled with excitement and joy. "What is it?" Ngozi asked, curious about the sparkle in his eyes. Eto smiled and placed a gentle hand on her stomach. "We are going to have a child." Ngozi's eyes widened with surprise and happiness. "Are you sure?" she asked, tears of joy forming in her eyes. Eto nodded. "Yes, the healer confirmed it today. You are carrying our child, Ngozi. Our family is growing." Ngozi embraced Eto, overwhelmed with emotion. The news of her impending parenthood filled her with a sense of hope and renewal. She knew that their child would be a symbol of their love and the strength of their union. As the news spread throughout the kingdom, the people of Bala rejoiced. The announcement of the queen's pregnancy brought a new wave of celebration and anticipation. The kingdom looked forward to the birth of a royal heir, a symbol of continuity and the future of Bala. Ngozi's pregnancy was celebrated with festivals and ceremonies honoring the new life growing within her. The people of Bala, once skeptical of her leadership, now rallied around their queen with unwavering support and love. In the months that followed, Ngozi continued to rule with the same strength and compassion that had defined her reign. She prepared for the arrival of her child, ensuring that Bala remained a place of prosperity and unity. As her due date approached, Ngozi reflected on her journey. She had faced countless challenges and overcame many obstacles, but she had never wavered in her commitment to her people. She knew that the future held even more challenges, but she was ready to face them with her family and her kingdom by her side. One evening, as Ngozi and Eto sat together under the stars, they talked about the future and the child they were expecting. Eto, with a thoughtful look, asked, "Ngozi, do you ever wonder if our child would look like you, strong and muscular?" Ngozi smiled, placing her hand over Eto's. "I have thought about it. Our child might inherit my physique, or they might not. But what matters most is that they grow up knowing that they are loved and accepted for who they are." Eto nodded, a look of pride and love in his eyes. "You are right, Ngozi. No matter how our child looks or what strength they possess, they will be loved and cherished, and they will grow up with the values we hold dear. As they sat under the night sky, filled with stars, Ngozi and Eto felt a deep sense of peace and anticipation. The future was filled with uncertainty, but also with endless possibilities. They knew that together they could face whatever challenges lay ahead, and that their love and strength would guide them. The kingdom of Bala thrived under Ngozi's reign, and her legacy was one of resilience, compassion, and unity. The people of Bala, once divided by fear and doubt, now stood together, stronger than ever before. Ngozi, the woman king, had proven that a leader's true power lay not in physical strength alone, but in the strength of character and the ability to inspire others. Her story was a testament to the power of love, compassion, and the unbreakable bond of family. And as the sun set over the kingdom of Bala, Ngozi looked out over her people, knowing that her legacy would live on the hearts and minds of those she had inspired. She was not just a queen, but a symbol of hope and strength for all who came after her. The story of Ngozi, the muscular princess who became the woman king, was far from over. With the news of her pregnancy, a new chapter was beginning, filled with promise and potential. The future of Bala was bright, and Ngozi's legacy would continue to shine for generations to come. Thank you for watching. What are your thoughts on Ngozi's journey and the challenges she faces as queen? Share your insights and reactions in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating tales. Let's continue to explore the richness of African folklore together. Until next time, take care and keep exploring. The dawn broke over Bala with a soft golden light, illuminating the kingdom that had flourished under Ngozi's rule. Today was a day of great significance. It marked the arrival of Ngozi and Eto's first child. The palace was abuzz with excitement and anticipation, the air thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the sounds of preparations for the grand celebration. Ngozi lay in her chambers, surrounded by midwives and healers, her mind a mix of apprehension and joy. Eto stood by her side, his face a picture of anxious devotion. "You are doing wonderfully, my love," he whispered, his voice steady despite the turmoil within him. The labor was long and arduous, but Ngozi's strength and determination, which had seen her through countless battles, now guided her through this most personal of struggles. With each contraction, she gripped Eto's hand, drawing strength from his unwavering presence. Hours later, as the sun reached its zenith, a cry filled the room. The midwife held a healthy, robust baby, and a collective sigh of relief echoed through the chamber. "It's a boy," the midwife announced, her voice trembling with emotion. Ngozi, her face glistening with sweat and tears, reached out for her son. As she held the newborn close, she felt an overwhelming sense of love and protectiveness. "Welcome to the world, little one," she whispered. "You are the future of Bala." Eto, tears streaming down his face, leaned in to kiss Ngozi's forehead and then their son's tiny head. "He is perfect," he said, his voice choked with emotion. The news of the birth spread quickly throughout the kingdom. The people of Bala rejoiced, their hearts filled with hope and joy. The birth of the royal heir was seen as a blessing, a symbol of continuity and prosperity. Festivities erupted in every village and town, and the kingdom celebrated for days. As the months passed, it became clear that Prince Chike was not an ordinary child. From a young age, he displayed a physical prowess that astonished everyone. His muscles developed rapidly, and his strength was extraordinary, even for a child of royal blood. The people of Bala, who had once marveled at Ngozi's unique physique, now saw it mirrored in the young prince. Chike's early years were filled with joy and discovery. He was a curious and energetic child, always eager to explore the world around him. Ngozi and Eto nurtured his inquisitive nature, encouraging him to learn and grow. They instilled in him the values of compassion, resilience, and courage. One day, as Chike played in the palace gardens, he noticed a group of older boys struggling to move a large stone. Without hesitation, he approached them. "Let me help," he said, his young voice filled with confidence. The boys, skeptical at first, watched in awe as Chike effortlessly lifted the stone and moved it aside. "How did you do that?" one of them asked, eyes wide with amazement. Chike shrugged, a playful smile on his face. "I don't know, it just feels natural." Word of Chike's extraordinary strength spread throughout the kingdom. The people of Bala saw in him a reflection of their beloved queen, and their hearts swelled with pride. Chike's physical abilities were celebrated, but Ngozi and Eto were mindful of the challenges that lay ahead. They knew that Chike's strength, while a gift, could also become a burden if not tempered with wisdom and humility. As Chike grew older, his strength continued to develop, and with it, a sense of responsibility. Ngozi and Eto made sure to teach him the importance of using his abilities for good. "Strength is not just about power, my son," Ngozi would often say. "It is about knowing when to use it and when to show restraint." Chike took his parents' teachings to heart. He trained diligently, not just in physical combat, but also in strategy and diplomacy. He learned from the kingdom's finest warriors and scholars, absorbing their knowledge and honing his skills. One day, as Chike was practicing in the training grounds, a messenger arrived with urgent news. "Prince Chike, there is trouble in the northern villages. A band of raiders has been attacking and stealing from the villagers. They are too strong for the local guards to handle." Chike's eyes hardened with resolve. "I will go and help them," he declared. Ngozi, hearing of the situation, approached her son. "Chike, you must be careful. These raiders are dangerous. Remember what we have taught you." Chike nodded, his face determined. "I understand, mother. I will not let you down." Accompanied by a small contingent of warriors, Chike set out for the northern villages. As they approached, the devastation left by the raiders was evident. Homes were burned and the villagers were in despair. Chike and his warriors confronted the raiders in a fierce battle. His strength and skill were unmatched, and he fought with a ferocity that left the raiders stunned. Despite his young age, Chike's leadership and courage inspired his warriors, and together they drove the raiders away. The villagers, seeing their prince in action, were filled with gratitude and admiration. "Thank you, Prince Chike," an elderly villager said, bowing deeply. "You have saved us." Chike smiled, but his thoughts were with the people who had suffered. "We must rebuild and ensure this does not happen again," he said. "I will stay and help." Over the next few weeks, Chike worked tirelessly alongside the villagers, using his strength to rebuild homes and restore their community. He listened to their concerns and worked to address their needs. His actions endeared him to the people, and they saw in him a leader who truly cared for their well-being. While Chike's heroism and strength brought him admiration and respect, they also sparked feelings of jealousy and resentment in some. In the shadows, whispers of discontent grew. Among the discontented was a nobleman named Obina, who harbored ambitions of his own. Obina had long coveted power and saw Chike's growing influence as a threat to his plans. He began to plot against the young prince, seeking ways to undermine him and sow discord within the kingdom. One evening, as Ngozi and Eto discussed the latest developments with Chike, a servant brought a message. "Your Majesties, nobleman Obina requests an audience. He says it is urgent." Ngozi and Eto exchanged a glance. "Send him in," Ngozi said. Obina entered, bowing low. "Your Majesties, Prince Chike, I have come to bring a matter to your attention," he said, his voice smooth but with an undercurrent of deceit. "What is it, Obina?" Eto asked, his eyes narrowing slightly. "There are rumors circulating that Prince Chike's strength is not natural," Obina began. "Some say it is the result of dark magic. The people are beginning to talk. I fear it could lead to unrest." Ngozi's eyes flashed with anger. "Those are baseless accusations, Obina. My son's strength is a gift, not a curse." Chike, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "What do you seek to achieve with these rumors, Obina? Are you trying to divide our people?" Obina feigned innocence. "I merely bring the matter to your attention, Prince Chike. As a royal servant of Bala, I am concerned for the stability of our kingdom." Ngozi stood, her presence commanding. "Let this be the last time you bring such baseless accusations before us, Obina. Chike's strength is a testament to his lineage, and we will not tolerate any attempts to undermine him." Obina bowed again, hiding his frustration. "Of course, Your Majesty. I apologize for any distress my words may have caused." As he left the chamber, Obina's mind raced with plans. He knew that he would have to be more cunning if he wanted to achieve his goals. Despite Obina's machinations, Chike's reputation continued to grow. He became a symbol of hope and strength for the people of Bala. His feats of heroism and his compassionate nature endeared him to all who met him. However, Obina was not deterred. He devised a plan to publicly challenge Chike, hoping to expose any weaknesses and turn the people against him. He announced a grand tournament, inviting warriors from across the kingdom to compete in various trials of strength, skill, and intelligence. Ngozi and Eto, wary of Obina's intentions, advised Chike to be cautious. "This could be a trap," Ngozi warned. "Obina will stop at nothing to discredit you." Chike nodded. "I understand, mother, but I cannot shy away from a challenge. I must prove myself, not just to Obina, but to the people of Bala." The tournament was held in the grand arena, with thousands of spectators gathered to watch the events. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Chike, standing tall and confident, faced each trial with determination. The first event was a test of strength. Competitors were required to lift and carry massive stones across a distance. Chike, with his extraordinary strength, completed the task effortlessly to the amazement of the crowd. Next came the test of skill, a series of combat trials against seasoned warriors. Chike's training and natural prowess shone through as he defeated each opponent with grace and precision. The spectators cheered, their admiration for the young prince growing with each victory. The final event was a test of intelligence and strategy. Competitors were presented with complex puzzles and scenarios to solve. Chike, drawing on his education and wisdom imparted by his parents, navigated the challenges with ease. As the tournament drew to a close, it was clear that Chike had triumphed in every trial. The people of Bala erupted in applause, their faith in their prince reaffirmed. Obina, watching from the sidelines, seethed with frustration. His plan had failed, and Chike's popularity had only grown. After the tournament, Chike was approached by a group of elders. "Prince Chike, you have proven yourself to be a worthy leader," one of them said. "Your strength, skill, and intelligence are unmatched. We are proud to have you as our future king." Chike bowed respectfully. "Thank you. I will continue to serve Bala with all my heart."